Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and we all remember that video Markiplier made where he did a smasher pass on every Pokemon? Well, today, we'll be playing through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Sword using only Pokemon that Markiplier would smash. For our starter, we'll be taking Scorbunny, and after slapping Hop's new Grookey, Leon asks us if we've built up any love, but we can't do that until they hit level 36 and evolve. After slapping Hop again, we can head to the rolling fields to catch us a Tyrogue, who we also can't use until they evolve, but luckily we'll be able to evolve them just before the gym leader. And before the first gym leader, there are a few more things we have to do. Like beating up Hop for the third time today, catching a Vulpix at Route 3, evolving said Vulpix into a Ninetales, massacring an entire species so Tyrogue evolves into the right species, catching a Diglett, watching Ninetales get confused and dying as a result, resetting and replaying the last 2 hours, watching Ninetales annihilate Bede's team, and evolving Tyrogue into a Hitmonchan. So now we can take on the Grass-type gym leader, Milo, and unlike with Bede, he has no shenanigans to mess with Ninetales, so we easily win. With him out of the way, we can enter Route 5 where we grab a Toxel, but we can't use them until they evolve. For our wild area encounter, we grab a Shelder at East Lake Axwell, and then we can evolve them into the Pokemon that taught me everything I know about women, Cloyster. Hop challenges us again, allowing for Ninetales to sweep another team. And right after that, we'll be taking on the second gym leader, Nessa. We bring our Hitmonchan, who lands a few power-up punches against Goldeen to boost his attack, and by the time Goldeen goes down, our attack stat is more than doubled. This lets them take out Arrokuda and the Dynamax Dreadnought with a single Drain Punch each to win the fight. We then go on a fancy date with the richest man in the region, where we eat napkins and drink air. We really end up third wheeling this date since Rose and Sonia do all the talking, so we excuse ourselves to go give Bede another beating. This time we'll be using Hitmonchan, which might not seem like the best choice against Bede's Psychic type team, but after a single power-up punch, we can outspeed and karate chop all of his Pokemon into throats for the one-hit KO. There's no Pokemon Markiplier wants to smash in the cave we just fought in, but heading outside we grab a Hatena, another Pokemon we won't be able to use for a while until they evolve. Speaking of evolving, Diglett evolves into a Dugtrio, and next up is our first fight with Marnie, another victim to Ninetales' wrath. Afterwards, we catch another wild area Pokemon, a Sigilif at the Motostoke Riverbanks. Or not. Let's just move on to the next gym. This time, we're up against Kabu, the Fire-type gym leader. We both start with our Ninetales, and while he spams Quick Attack like a dingus, we spam Nasty Plot to maximize our special attack. But even with the special attack increases, the opposing Ninetales survives a Shadow Ball, so we're forced to be hit by another Quick Attack before taking them out with one more Shadow Ball. The same happens with his Arcanine, but instead of using Quick Attack, he uses Agility to double their speed, so now that they're faster than us, they can hit us with a Bite, which causes us to flinch. We take another Bite, and then Arcanine goes down to a second Shadow Ball, and now we have to fight Kabu's Gigantamax Centiskorch. Shadow Ball takes out close to half of their HP, and we're hit by a Max Flutterby to bring us low, and lower our special attack. We won't be surviving a second attack, so we switch to Hitmonchan, who loses a decent chunk of HP to Max Flutterby, but we can then swap back to Ninetales as they go for a Gmax Sentiferno, which we are immune to. Centiskorch shrinks back to normal, and we switch to Cloyster to finish the job with a couple surfs to win us another badge. We venture back into the wild area where we catch a Tranquil at the Giant's Mirror, and at Route 5 we catch a Yamask, both of which we immediately evolve into Unpheasant and Rune Regus, along with our Toxel evolving into a Toxtricity. Our 4th Hop battle goes smoothly, with Toxtricity, Unpheasant, and Dugtrio trouncing his team. We start taking on the trainers in the 4th gym, and this random Beware barely survives Ninetales' Extrasensory and hits them hard with the strength to kill them, making for the first death of the run, if you ignore the first bead fight. But at the end of the gym, we can finally evolve our starter into Johnny Cinderace. For the actual battle against B, she starts with a Hitmontop, and we bring out Unpheasant. We land a few Feather Dances to drop Hitmontop's attack stat, then we switch to Runerigus to land a Will-O-Wisp to drop it even further. We can safely bring in Hitmonchan now and start landing some power-up punches. Hitmontop does land a counter that brings us low, but a 3rd power-up punch takes out Hitmontop, and Pangoro comes in next. We land a Drain Punch for the 1-hit KO, and after leftovers, we are completely healed. Sirfetch'd is up next, and we land a power-up punch to bring them to half HP, and they go for a Swords Dance to double their attack, but they can't put it to use since one more power-up punch takes them out. Gigantamax Machamp is in next, but this is more of a Machamp. Drain Punch nearly takes them out, and we're hit by... That's what we're hit by. Drain Punch nearly takes them out, and we're hit by a G-Max Cheese Strike, which takes out more than half of our HP, but we can then land one more Drain Punch to take the win. After is our 3rd bead fight, and while Runerigus is able to take out his first 3 Pokemon, we have to switch out to Dugtrio to take on his Ponyta. It uses agility to double its speed on the turn we switch, then it outspeeds us and lands a Psybeam before being brought to the red by a Night Slash. Despite being faster, they then use another agility for some reason before being destroyed by a 2nd Night Slash to win us the fight. For the next couple of Pokemon we're catching, we grab a Bounsweet at the Stony Wilderness, who we evolve to a Serena, and in the Glimwood Tangle, we catch a Sinistea, which honestly baffles me more than anything else Markiplier wants to smash. Next up is our gym battle with Opal, the Fairy-type gym leader. She starts with Weezing, and we bring out Runerigus. We land a Will-O-Wisp to burn them before we start spamming Amnesia to boost our special defense, and answering the gym questions to boost our other stats. It's a long process, but just before Weezing goes down, Opal has a heart attack and dies, leaving us the winner. With her death, we can catch a new Pokemon from the wild area, and in this case, it will be a Gourgeist from the Hammerlock Hills. Our Pokédex says the one we caught is average size, but you know what they say. Size doesn't matter. What matters is how you use it. Next up is another fight with Hop, but like always, he isn't anything to worry about. Cinderace can take out his Trevenant, Runerigus handles his Snorlax and Boltund, Serena can lower Rillaboom's attack with Trop Kick, and then we can switch to Hitmonchan to punch the rest of his Pokemon into oblivion. With him out of the way, we can head to Route 7 where we catch an Inkay, and Route 8 to get a Sandaconda, and afterwards we can take on the 6th gym leader, Gordy. He starts with the Barbarical, and we bring out Gourgeist, who takes it out with a single Seed Bomb. Next up is Shuckle, but it's only able to leave us with 5 points of damage before it goes down to Shadow Ball, and Stonejourner is up next. Okay, I changed my mind. This is Markiplier's most baffling smash. They use Wonder Room to swap defense stats, and we land a Leech Seed. We then switch to Sandaconda while they set up a Stealth Rock, and then they hit us with a Body Slam for decent damage before we paralyze them with Glare. Thanks to leftovers and Leech Seed, we restore quite a bit of HP, and we then use Skull Bash. A questionable move choice, but it boosts our defense, which is what I really cared about here. Skull Bash takes out Stonejourner, and finally, we need to deal with Gordy's Gigantamax Colossal. We outspeed it and use Dig, keeping us safe from their first attack, and hitting them takes out more than half of their HP. We're then hit by a Max Flare, which doesn't do too much damage, and we can use one more Dig to win the fight after they shrink back to normal. With the level cap raised, we can evolve a couple of our Pokemon, and then take on Hop for the 6th time. but we're just going to hop onto a fight with a trainer that doesn't suck. Just kidding, we're going to spend half an hour looking for a Lapras in the wild area before finding out we don't have enough badges for it to spawn in. So we just head over to Route 9 to fish one up. There's only a 1% chance of finding one, and in this same fishing spot, there's a 39% chance of finding a Pokemon that is or evolves into Wailord, which Markiplier would unfortunately smash. So obviously, we find the Lapras, and with that out of the way, we can fight a trainer that doesn't suck. Just kidding, look at this team, what is she thinking with this Liepard? Why does it have a move to boost its special attack, but only have physically damaging moves? And her Morpeko's strongest move has 65 power. The second gym leader had stronger moves 20 levels ago, and while I was complaining about all of this, Serena took out 3 of her Pokemon in a single move, and all she has left is her Morpeko that won't be doing any relevant levels of damage to the Sandaconda we switched to. Let's just hope being terrible doesn't run in the family, because we're up against her older brother and 7th gym leader, Piers. We start with Serena, and he brings in his Scrafty, whose Intimidate ability drops our attack. We miss a Play Rough and lose a 4th of our HP to a Brick Break. Our next Play Rough lands, but thanks to the attack drop, we just missed the KO, and we have to eat a Payback that takes out close to half of our HP. We then land a Trop Kick to take the KO, and next in is Malamar. We swap out to Hatterene on a Payback, which takes out less than a 4th of our HP, but they then hit us with a Foul Play that brings us to a 1/3 of our HP before our Citrus Berry heals us, and then we can land a Thunder Wave to paralyze them. We're faster now and use Dazzle and Gleam, which is a 1-hit KO. Probably could have just used Dazzle and Gleam to begin with. Next in is Gene Simmons, and they hit us with a Shadow Claw to bring us low, but then Hatterene can menacingly point at Gene to bring them to a 1/4 of their HP. If Hatterene wasn't the slowest thing on the planet, we could take the KO here, but I guess that's expecting too much from this questionably shaped Pokemon. We bring in Sandaconda on a Throat Chop, which does little damage before they can use Obstruct, blocking our Headbutt and cutting our defense in half. They use Throat Chop again, and it does quite a bit of damage this time around, and we land our Headbutt, which isn't enough to get the KO, so we have to switch out again. This time we bring in Cinderace, who loses a 1/3 of their HP to Throat Chop, but they don't use Obstruct on the next turn, and we can take them out with the Pyro Ball. Finally, we need to deal with Skuntank, and it's dead. Just like our dog Trio, who dies to this Turtonator before facing the 8th gym leader. The 8th gym leader, Raihan, starts with a Flygon and Gigalith that creates a Sandstorm, while we bring in Hitmonchan and Gigalith. We did not bring in Gigalith, why did I write that? We bring in Hitmonchan and Serena. Flygon goes for a Breaking Swipe, not dealing too much damage, but dropping our attack stat. This allows them to barely survive an Ice Punch from Hitmonchan, but we had Serena target Flygon in case it survived, so a Trop Kick takes them out. Gigalith sets up a Stealth Rock, and Sandaconda comes in next. We hit Gigalith with a Drain Punch, not dealing too much damage, but healing us up quite a bit, and Serena hits Sandaconda with a Rapid Spin to remove Stealth Rocks. They respond by paralyzing Serena with a Glare, and Gigalith hits Hitmonchan with a Body Press. And after Sandstorm damage, they are left with 69 HP. Nice. We switch out Serena for Cloyster, and Hitmonchan lands another Drain Punch. Hitmonchan gets paralyzed by Glare, and Gigalith sets up Stealth Rocks again. Sandaconda is now the fastest Pokemon on the field, and it hits Cloyster hard with an Earth Power, doing enough damage for our Citrus Berry to activate. We can then retaliate with an Ice Beam for the KO, and Hitmonchan is still faster than Gigalith and takes them out with a Drain Punch. All that's left is his Gigantamax Duraludon. So we swapped out Cloyster for Runerigus, who's being targeted by Duraludon. They go for a Max Knuckle, but we're immune to it, and Hitmonchan pushes through Paralysis and lands another Drain Punch for decent damage. The next Max Knuckle is sent towards Hitmonchan, but all the damage they deal is restored by a Drain Punch. Runrigus then lands a Will-O-Wisp to burn Duraludon, so its next attack hardly hurts, and Hitmonchan, who doesn't believe in being paralyzed, takes Duraludon down with one more Drain Punch to win the fight and the final badge. With all of that out of the way, we can evolve Lapras into a Wailord, catch a new Lapras, go to Route 10, nearly lose Hitmonchan to a Bat, catch a Gardevoir, and make it to Winden to take on the final battles of the game. Starting with Marnie, who brings in her Liepard to fight Artsarena. She lands a Snarl for okay damage before getting annihilated by a Play-Rough. Toxicroak is in next, and we switch to Cinderace as they use Toxic, leaving us badly poisoned. We outspeed on the next turn and take them out with a Zen Headbutt. Scrafty is in next, so we switch to Hatterene, who gets hit by a Swagger, leaving them confused. So now we switch to Hitmonchan on a Crunch, not taking a lot of damage, and we retaliate with a Drain Punch, just missing the KO, and allowing them to use Brick Break for solid damage. Marnie heals Scrafty, allowing us to use a Power-Up Punch to boost our attack, and now we can land a Drain Punch to fully heal us and take out Scrafty. Morpeko is up next, but it goes down to a Drain Punch before being able to move. And now we need to take on Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. We land a Drain Punch to take out just under half of its HP, but it can then land a Max Starfall, and Hitmonchan does not survive. So we bring in Cloyster, who lands a Poison Jab, which just misses the KO, but Max Starfall doesn't do too much, and another Poison Jab takes the win. Next up is our final battle with Hop. He starts with his Dubwool, and we bring out Hatterene. We immediately paralyze them with a Thunder Wave and begin setting up Calm Minds while they hit us with Body Slams. We eventually get paralyzed, but we were holding a Cherry Berry and are instantly cured. This is our cue to go on the offensive. We use a Draining Kiss, which just misses the KO but fully heals us. Hop then uses a full restore, and we use Stored Power, which has 140 power after all of our stat boosts, which includes 2.5 times more special attack. And with the same type attack bonus, there was no chance of Dubwool surviving. Pincurchin comes in next, and we use another Calm Mind, and we get hit by a Poison Jab, which unfortunately poisons us. We land a Draining Kiss for the one-hit KO, and it fully heals us, and Corviknight is out next, and it hits us with a Swagger to confuse us. And unlike our dearly departed Hitmonchan, Hatterene doesn't power through their ailment and hurts themselves in confusion. They then tank a Steel Wing before landing a Drain Kiss, which doesn't heal as much as I had hoped for after having their special attack stat tripled. So we switch to Toxtricity on another Steel Wing, which doesn't do much damage, and we can then land an Overdrive to score the KO. Snorlax is in next, so we swap out to Gourgeist on a high horsepower, which does negligible damage. We then land a Leech Seed and Will-O-Wisp, which guarantees that Snorlax can't hurt us, and after their HP gets low, we switch to Tsareena to finish them off with a Rapid Spin to boost their speed. Hop's final Pokemon is his Dynamax Rillaboom, and we outspeed it to land a Trop Kick and lower their attack. So we survive their Max Strike quite well before landing another Trop Kick. Their Max Darkness brings us low, but our Citrus Berry heals us so we can land a third Trop Kick before Rillaboom shrinks back to normal. We then bring in Unfezant, who can score the win with a Brave Bird. Our next fight is against Oleana, who starts with a Frostlass that gets erased from existence by Cinderace's Pyro Ball. Milotic comes in next, so we switch to Toxtricity as they use Aqua Ring. They outspeed us and hit us hard at the surf to bring us well below half HP, and we use Overdrive, which doesn't score the KO, so we'll have to switch. We bring out Tsareena, who handles surf well, and can then take out Pinhead Larry with a Trop Kick. Salazzle comes in next, so we switch to Sandaconda on a Venoshock, which doesn't deal too much damage. We're then hit by Incinerate, which brings us down to 69 HP, nice, before we take them out with a Dig. Oleana brings out her Tyrena next, and we switch to Cinderace on an Acrobatics and take them out with a Pyro Ball. Her final Pokemon is Gigantamax Garbodor, so we switch to Runerigus on a Max Rockfall, which hardly hurts us. But their Max Quake brings us close to half HP. But we then land a Will-O-Wisp to burn them and cut their attacking stat, so a couple Earthquakes later, we take the win. Next we're up against Bede, and I really don't remember what I was thinking during this fight. My 4 brain cells must have been on vacation. We start with Wailord against his Mawile and use Noble Roar to lower their attack. We then use Scald to wipe out more than half of their HP, then start using Noble Roar again for some reason. Our HP gets low, so we have to use Rest at one point, but eventually I pull my head out of my ass and use another Scald to take out Mawile. Gardevoir is in next, and they use Calm Mind to boost their special stats, so our Scald takes out less than half of their HP. They then use Wish before we land a Body Slam, which just fails to get the KO. But it leaves Gardevoir paralyzed, and thanks to their ability, we also get paralyzed. Gardevoir can't move next turn, but the damage we deal with Body Slam doesn't matter because Wish heals Gardevoir. We're both unable to move next turn, but the following turn, we almost go down to Psychic, but we can then land a Noble Roar to drop their special attack before we switch out. We bring in Runerigus on a Psychic, and then we can take out Gardevoir with a Shadow Claw. Rapidash is up next, and it hits us with a Dazzling Gleam before we land a Shadow Claw to just miss out on the KO. We barely survive another Dazzling Gleam, and then finish off Rapidash with one more attack. And all that's left is his Gigantamax Hatterene, who we sacrifice Wailord to, so we can bring in Cinderace, who takes it out with a single Gunk Shot to win the fight. The rematch with Nessa is next, and while she starts with a Golisopod, we bring in Unfezant, who takes them out with a single Brave Bird. Barraskewda is up next, and it outspeeds us to land Ice Fang, and we land yet another Brave Bird for the one-hit KO. Next in is Sea King, and we switch to Toxtricity on a Waterfall. They then use Aqua Ring, but it doesn't matter because a single Overdrive takes them out. Pelipper is in next and also goes down to Overdrive, and Gigantamax Dreadnought is her final Pokemon. They outspeed us and hit us with a Max Rockfall that we barely survive before landing Overdrive to wipe out half of their HP. Our Citrus Berry heals us up, but not enough to survive another attack. We switch to Sandaconda, who takes very little damage, so I think, hey, Sandaconda's defenses are cracked. Maybe we can survive a Water-type attack. They could not. But now Serena can come in, and a Trop Kick wins us the fight. The rematch with Bea is after, and she starts with a Hawlucha, and we start with Unfezant, who takes a high jump kick to the face before taking out Hawlucha with Brave Bird. Phalanx is up next, so we swap to Gourgeist, who automatically wins by using Will-O-Wisp and Leech Seed. We do the same to Sirfetch'd, and then switch to Hatterene and set up several Calm Minds so they can't leave us with any damage. Draining Kiss takes them out and fully heals us. Grapploct goes down to the same, and her Gigantamax Machamp is also destroyed to win the fight. The Raihan rematch is next, and his first 4 Pokemon literally don't matter, because he has the most inept team in existence, and we can skip straight to his Gigantamax Duraludon. We had Lapras out on the previous turn, so they go for a Max Knuckle, which our Runerigus is immune to. We eat a Max Steel Spike to the face before using Will-O-Wisp, which basically guarantees our win. We spam Earthquake until they shrink and switch to Serena, who hits it with a low kick that barely misses the KO, but they go down to the burn. Chairman Rose is next, and they start with a Scavalier while we bring in Cinderace. We land a one-hit KO Pyro Ball against a Scavalier, Klinklang, Ferrothorn, and Berserker, so all that's left is his Gigantamax Copperajah, who Cinderace somehow manages to miss with their Pyro Ball, and then gets killed by a Max Quake. So we bring in Runerigus, who lands a Will-O-Wisp to burn them, and they can comfortably survive all their attacks thanks to the attack cut. After they shrink down, we finish them off with an Earthquake to win us the fight. Our battle with Eternatus is next, and we start with Lapras, who tanks across poison before using Perish Song, a move that automatically KOs all Pokemon still on the field after 3 turns. We then switch to a Sinistea, who eats a flamethrower like a champ before using Protect to stall for as long as possible. Eternatus goes down after this turn, so we just try for another Protect, but it fails and we're hit by another flamethrower that we survive off of just 2 HP. Eternatus goes down to Perish Song, and it's on to the raid battle portion of this fight. We immediately switch into Sinistea and just try to stall for as long as possible while everyone else does all the work. Eternatus is eventually narrowed down to seemingly 1 HP, and any attack Zamazenta uses will take out Eternatus. But they choose to use Light Screen. This gives Eternatus one more attack, which of course is aimed at Sinistea and kills them. Hop takes out Eternatus on the same turn, and Zamazenta yeets themselves into the sun as penance for getting our precious teacup killed, and all that's left is the final battle against Leon. For this, we'll be bringing in Johnny Sins the Malamar, Johnny Sins the Lapras, Johnny Sins the Gourgeist, Johnny Sins the Cloyster, Johnny Sins the Gardevoir, and Johnny Sins the Runerigus. All my Pokemon in this run were named after him since he is a master of every profession. Doctor, pizza delivery man, everything. Anyways, getting to the fight, Leon starts with Aegislash and we bring out Malamar. They use King's Shield to block our first flamethrower, but then we use Throat Chop to take out half their HP before they land a Flash Cannon to take out half of ours. Our next flamethrower lands to get the KO, and Haxorus comes in next. They outspeed Malamar and take them out with an Outrage, but we can bring in Gardevoir, who's immune to Outrage, and lands a Moonblast for the one-hit KO. Leon brings out Dragapult next, and they go for a Shadow Ball, but thanks to the Assault Vest we're holding, it takes out less than half of our HP. We land another Moonblast for the one-hit KO, and Mr. Rime is in next, so we swap to Cloyster on a Freeze Dry, which nearly takes them out. Clearly, I didn't think this through, and we have to let Cloyster die here. Gourgeist is in next, and we outspeed Mr. Rime to land a Phantom Force, which misses the KO, and we get hit by a Freeze Dry that Gourgeist barely survives. The berry heals them, and then Leon heals his Pokemon before we land a Seed Bomb for solid damage. This allows us to land another Phantom Force for the KO, and Inteleon is up next. They outspeed Gourgeist and kill them with a Dark Pulse. We bring in Lapras next and begin spamming Body Slam while they spam Tearful Look to drop our attacking stats. On Inteleon's final turn of life, they use Snipe Shot, which only heals us back to full HP thanks to our water absorbability, and one more Body Slam takes them out. And in comes the final challenge of this run, Leon's Gigantamax Charizard. They land a Max Overgrowth to wipe out a huge chunk of our HP, and we retaliate with a Hydro Pump that deals much less damage than you'd imagine, and Lapras goes down to a Max Rockfall. We bring in Runerigus, and they survive a Max Overgrowth off of 1 HP thanks to the Focus Sash. This lets them land a Rock Tomb to take out half of Charizard's HP and slow them down a bit. Charizard shrinks back to normal and takes out Runerigus with a Fire Blast, but now we can bring out Gardevoir, who outspeeds Charizard, and we use Psychic to KO Charizard to win the fight and the run. Well, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.